I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking about how to select a fertility expert. There can be a lot of overwhelming information in the fertility field, and you may be putting your hand up going, wait, I am ready for help. But then it's the task of selecting a fertility expert. I'm going to take you through our 5 top tips that can help you select a fertility expert so you don't waste time and money doing a program that may not work for you. So I'm excited for you to listen to today's episode. Let's go. Hey there, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone struggling with infertility, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. Today, we're digging into the biggest mistakes we see with hiring a fertility expert. This episode is for you as if you are ready to hire a fertility expert, but you're overwhelmed by all the choices available to you. And you are looking to improve your fertility, but you're not really sure how to select the right practitioner for you. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe or follow. And if you know someone else who is on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Okay, so today we are talking about how to select a fertility expert to work with. I'm going to take you through 5 top tips I have for you. Okay, so obviously, if you've decided, potentially you may be deciding that IVF is off in the future, so 3 to 6 months off right now. And so you really want to, prepare your body, mind, body, spirit to increase the chances of this working. So the first thing to look for when you're selecting an expert is, where are they on testing? So many times you're going to get some tests from your OBGYN or your reproductive endocrinologist. And these can be really great tests to get a baseline to make sure there's nothing structurally that needs to be addressed. And so getting those basic fertility tests, I've talked about this on the podcast before, so you can I'll link that show episode in there for you to look at some of the basic tests to ensure everything is fine, typically HSG tests and more. So, okay, so some of is the fertility expert looking at testing. So typically looking at gut infections. I think many of us, especially if you're here, you know about the power of the microbiome and how that's, we see a lot of people with gut infections and dealing with low AMH and high FSH. So if you got an infection going on, the body wants to survive, not procreate. So is your practitioner, the fertility expert that you're looking at, are they running up-to-date tests? Because many times we see practitioners running tests that maybe are a little out of date. So you want to make sure the stool test that they're looking at is very different from your conventional medical doctor. The stool test they may be running. So making sure that the test is cutting edge, up to date. And there's a lot of tests you can get just with, have them directly shipped to you. So it's really important to make sure that your practitioner is using practitioner only tests, and that it's not there's a lot of tests right now that companies, you can just order yourself. And so some of those can be okay, but with stool testing, you want to, you get a reputable company, and making sure, the lab has been vetted, and making sure that the test is continually updated and more. So stool testing, which your conventional medical doctor may not even recommend stool testing when you're dealing with infertility. So other tests to look at, genetic testing. So many times you're getting, if you're working with an RE or your OBGYN, you may have already got genetic testing done. So we're looking at more epigenetics. So it's genetics, it's nutrigenetics. So it's looking at genetic testing, but we're looking at a female hormone panel. And then you can really make so it's not like, oh my goodness, here's your genes, you're doomed, throw in the towel. It's here's your genes, and then here's a specific diet and lifestyle and supplement recommendations you can use to then support those genes. So making sure, is the fertility expert you're selecting to work with, are they looking at your genes? So you can take that very personalized, customized approach. Is the fertility expert you're working with, are they looking at the vaginal microbiome? So we see many people with miscarriage, obviously infertility. If they're dealing with bacterial vaginosis, UTIs, and way more. I did a podcast on the vaginal microbiome. And this is a really quite inexpensive test and can really give us some really good insight into the pH of the vagina and really why that's important for fertility. Obviously, if there's an infection in there, so if you're getting bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, fungal overgrowth, if you were like me taking like heaps of antibiotics for years, this can then potentially disrupt the balance in the vaginal microbiome. And that was the case for me. So is the fertility expert including vaginal microbiome testing to make sure that the pH is off, you're not passing infections back and forth with your partner? That's really key to look at. Food sensitivity test. So is the person you're going to work with, are they looking at food sensitivity testing? So this is, it's a food sensitivity testing. It's a snapshot in time. There's no perfect food sensitivity test. Really, you can, I've had a test where I've run and at the time I was still dealing with leaky gut and, I thought it was raining, but maybe not. Still dealing with leaky gut. And so the whole entire test just lit up. I was intolerant to all my favorite foods. So it's a snapshot in time as you do the work to heal the gut infections and, work on chronic stress and biochemical imbalances, then you can potentially bring back in some of these foods. So is the test, the food, because there's a lot of food sensitivity tests that you can order yourself and may say everything's fine, but is the test, one of the best ones? Has it been vetted? Is the company, always looking to improve, the tests that they have? And it's because you can spend a lot of money on some of those tests that you order yourself. So typically you want to have a practitioner only test that you use because there's still an investment. There's an investment in the ones that you're ordering online yourself, and also obviously an investment the ones if you're working with a practitioner. So making sure that the test is up to date, valid. The lab has been vetted and more. So it's, again, comparing the ones you get online to the ones that are practitioner. And then, so if you are working with a practitioner, making sure, we work with a number of tests depending on the location of where you are and what's available. And so making sure that your practitioner is not using a test that was, used, to ask them how long they've used it. And, because many times they were using the same one, like an IgG test that's just been around for years and years, which can be helpful, but it may miss other things. Next one we have is hormone testing. So we can use, so there's tests that'll look at your hormones using urine, and over the course of 24 hours, you can really look at your cortisol levels and see what's happening there. Because many people are like, I'm not stressed, everything's fine. And their cortisol is like, pattern is all of the map. So is someone looking at your cortisol levels using urine, which it'll track the pathways and kind of give us a better clue as to what's going on with your hormones, your cortisol, your melatonin, all of the different markers. So is your practitioner running that type of test? Also blood chemistry. Is your practitioner maybe they're only looking at blood chemistry? Are they looking at your sex hormones? Are they doing a full thyroid panel, including antibodies? Are they looking at, full cholesterol? Are they doing glucose, A1C? Are they looking at B12? Are they looking at magnesium? What are the different blood markers they're looking at? And because these can be healing opportunities that can be missed. So we include a blood chemistry review as part of our FabFertile program. Is not to diagnose, it's to educate. And so, what type of blood chemistry is the fertility expert that you're choosing to work with? What are they looking at? And is something going to be missed? So it's important to really take that very comprehensive approach. So with our approach with the FabFertile method, we're looking at those tests, and the tests are only the beginning. And many people get very excited about the tests. I'm included. Give me the test. Let's get the plan. But, we can get the tests and then not do the work. So it's important that the tests help us give the roadmap together with your health history. And then we have to actually implement what's going on here. So the next thing is the fertility expert that you're selecting to work with, do they have coaching support? Or is it, okay, wait, let's just do the tests and then off you go? Like I've worked with many people for myself, my own healing journey, where it's like, oh, here's the tests and then here's your plan and then off you go. And I'm a coach and I work with my own coach. And I literally got this list and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what am I can't even help. Like, I can't even implement this. This is like so overwhelming. And I've done it with my kids too, to help them with their health issues and given a plan. I'm like, I feel overwhelmed and I know all this stuff, not all of it, but I'm familiar with it. So the coaching support, does the fertility expert that you're looking to work with, so they may do the testing, they may look at the blood chemistry, your hormones, maybe they do some of those tests that we talked about, but then do they help you implement these changes, which is key. So are they helping you with mindset issues? Because some of these things can be simple, but not easy. And so maybe you haven't done it, not because you're lazy or a procrastinator. It's maybe you're scared. Maybe you don't actually believe it's going to work. So you self-sabotage yourself. Maybe there's issues with you and your partner where, that's why it's important. And we coach couples, unless you're single by choice, that you're both on the same page. And maybe there's, you may feel you're doing all the work and he doesn't know what to do as far as, he has an open mind, he's ready to make changes, but maybe he may not know what to do. Maybe you feel that he's not ready to make the changes and it's just you and you're dragging him along and that's causing friction. Maybe, in the relationship, it's been all about baby making for the last couple of years. You've been trying. And then, the fact that to try to make some of these changes, you're like, are you kidding me? I can't do it. I'm exhausted. I'm just, got my head above water. Most people that come to us, they've already done so much. Probably like you've already done so much. That's why you're looking for a fertility expert to help you. It's not, there's a lot of information out there on the internet to say with superfoods and different things to help. So most people have already done a lot. Maybe you've already even done the IVF. It hasn't worked. Maybe you've been told, you're a poor responder, you've had canceled cycles, and you're just like, are you kidding me? Now I got to do all this stuff. So it's really important to have someone support you that can help you with mindset and to really be your cheerleader. And essentially, like, your coach is not your friend. They are there to call you out on your BS, right? So, and we all have it. We all have our own thing where we have these patterns. We end up either self-sabotaging, wanting to give up, thinking it was going to be easy in the beginning, and then it starts getting hard and it's getting a little uncomfortable. And we're like, I don't know if I can continue on. And so then you end up, whatever your way of coping, be it, hanging out by the refrigerator, being maybe, drowning your sorrows in a bottle of wine, maybe gambling, maybe overworking. See a lot of people that, bury themselves in work and, work and work and work. And the stress of that, when we're like, we want you to sleep, we want you to focus on self-care. And it's like, to avoid feeling the uncomfortable emotions and the pain, we go over here to our coping mechanisms. So many people are, type A overachievers, and they cope with, let's do more. And so our thing is to be more productive, to do less, which sounds counterintuitive, but actually that's what is the game changer, and to really be able to put yourself first. So having a coach call you out, sort of seeing when you start to have these patterns. And we always ask, how do you want to be coached? And I find people that want to be coached. So it's either you want to be coached passive, assertive, or aggressive. So people that want to be a coach aggressively, when they're the ones that will kind of go off track and they know it. That's why they say, coach me aggressively. And then you call them out and they're like, what? They get really ticked off. So, but then we ring back to the form saying, wait a minute, you said you wanted to be coached this way. Oh yes, I remember, because you can be a tough person, which is good. That's, it served you well in life. But now, as you set these priorities, like as soon as you say to the universe, God, whatever it is for you, I'm going to do this, there's going to be a bunch of crap coming in saying to take you off track, from that goal. Oh, wait, I'm going to do this and do that. I'm going to go grocery shopping. I'm going to do my batch cooking. I'm going to get more sleep. And then all of a sudden comes in, there's like things happen in life, and it's, these little tests that come along. So what do? Do you throw it all away and give up and take the plan, all the money you spent on the tests, throw it in the garbage, and you don't even make the changes? Or do you have someone to help you and your partner continue on? Okay, so fertility expert is the program that you're looking at. Is it a one size fits all approach, or is it customized? So there's obviously there's many programs out there. There could be group programs, there could be do it yourself programs, do it yourself kind of with an expert. So depending on what, like, the level of support you need. But is it a one size fits all, where here it is and you've got to follow it because it's worked for someone else, it's got to work for you? Which is not the case, right? So that's why there's so many diets out there. That one diet's worked for someone. That's why they've written the book and promoted it, and it works for a certain segment of people, but it doesn't work for everyone. And so being able to recognize that it's not about, it's looking for a personalized approach to your diet, personalized approach to your sleep, personalized approach to how you take your supplements. Maybe you have a hard time taking supplements and you need powder supplements. Maybe the fact that you've tried to take supplements in the past and it hasn't worked because you kept forgetting to take them. So all these things where we get in our way, and then really when a program is a one size fits all approach, is that serving you? So making sure it's customized would be the recommendation. So it can really help you and your partner, because we're all different and unique. Okay. And so the next one we have is the mind, body, spirit. So we really believe at Fab Fertile that it's important we address the biochemical issues. So blood sugar, thyroid imbalance, dysregulated sleep, gut infections, food sensitivities. Like if there's been high antibiotic use, overuse of, long-term use of the birth control pill, all of these things, biochemical, can then impact your body's ability to conceive. Then also the mind, body, spirit side of things. So typically we're working with low AMH and high FSH and premature ovarian insufficiency and diminished ovarian reserve. And many people may have been told, donor eggs are their only option. And they may not actually believe it can work. And so that's why when I developed the program, I really included the mind, body, spirit approach, because we can do all the testing. We can, work on your limiting beliefs and really help you to make these changes. But if you deep in your soul don't believe it's going to work, that's where you self-sabotage yourself. That's where you feel hopeless. That's where if you look at your numbers and you're thinking your fertility is falling off a cliff. And so it's important to, how do you come back into, focusing on your intuition, looking for the signs, because the signs are all around you. How do you bring down your shoulders, open up your arms, looking and bringing into that receiving piece? How do you tap into peace and calm? Where in your life do you just know things will be fine? Or maybe you're glass half empty and you're the sky's always falling for you. And so this is just one more thing. You're you're kidding me? I got to deal with this now. Everyone else just seemingly gets pregnant easily. The person down the street doesn't have to, change their diet. This is so do you feel yourself kind of falling in that victim mode? Do you feel yourself, feeling very isolated, maybe in times of, this is a huge stressor impacting your every aspect of your life? Do you find yourself withdrawing from your friends and family when really, and this is the time when you need them the most, but it's too painful to be around them because of if they may be announcing their pregnancies, or they have children, even going to your place of worship, maybe that's too painful. And so, because it's families and Sunday school and you're just sort of, it's thrown in your face every week. But then, but that is what's giving you peace is to look at your faith, or to look at the spirituality, and then we may abandon it. We may second guess ourselves. In these sort of times, we might outsource our fertility to our RE or to our OBGYN. So it's equally important for us to really believe. We can believe for you and we'll help you, we'll help you along the way. But it's like, how do you get into that deep knowing that it's going to work, that your body is fertile, that you are fertile? And starting out that way may be too much, right? So it is just little teeny steps along the way to get to that piece. So does the fertility expert that you're going to work with, are they looking at, subconscious blocks? Are they looking at, looking at your intuition? Are they helping you see a positive path forward? Are they focusing in on your strengths so you can, because all of us are intuitive. We're born intuitive, but the corporate environment and our society might beat it out of us. So how do we get into that? Because that's where we can get out of that fight or flight, that very constricted way of feeling. And so how do we access that? So does the fertility expert that you're looking at, are they looking at the spiritual side of things for you? Are they, having you look at affirmations or visualizations to be able to visualize your baby? And maybe you've already done some of that work. Maybe you think you already got it. So if that's you, that's great. It is being able. So if you already know in your heart of heart, then that in itself is amazing, because then you'll start to do some of the other things that could be uncomfortable for you. Other times people are like, ooh, it's uncomfortable for me to kind of trust myself when faced with a problem. I need to consult 10 of my different girlfriends and my family members. Maybe for you, you just know. And then, so there's other things that you need to work on. So the biochemical side of things, or the mindset piece. So intuition and believing, and it's not some Pollyanna sit back and wait for the miracle. It's meeting your miracle part way, like doing the work, showing up. And when it's uncomfortable, digging in, asking for help, and just going a little deeper. And then that's where you crack open, and you can you can have the release, and you can go to the next level. And many times some of these beliefs we could be something from childhood we're dealing with, something that we took on that was not ours to begin with. It was someone else's. Maybe it was our parents. Maybe they had a negative mindset. Maybe, our friends, maybe we were bullied. There's, different traumas that we could have experienced in our life. And that may have led to us then feeling that it's, that we're going to struggle. Some people come to me and tell me that they always knew they'd struggle with infertility just from the very beginning, almost like negatively hypnotizing yourself, thinking it's going to be hard, that it's, you're going to struggle, and oh wait, here it is, life showing me exactly what I thought it was going to be. So how do you recognize that and then flip it around? And so that's something that you want to make sure that your fertility expert can address, because that is those deep-seated, really at the end of it is fear that it won't work, that you're too old, the eggs are too old, the RE that told you that you will struggle, that it's donor eggs. They were right. Meanwhile, they don't know the power of diet and lifestyle, the functional nutrition approach. They receive a little more than a week of training, and that's at a medical school. So they can be part of your team and you access them as needed, but it's not the only thing that is, that you don't just go to them. You look at other people and you're in the center. You're in control. And so the next one is, do they specialize in your diagnosis? So if you've got low AMH or high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, do they specialize in this? Or maybe it's they're working with fertility. And so they could see PCOS, unexplained fibroids, way more. So if that's you, are they specializing in your diagnosis? Because with these certain diagnoses, even though it's a customized approach, there's themes and things that come up. And typically some of the themes, that's why I talked about the intuition piece. We see this all the time because a doctor may have told someone with DOR or POI that, sorry, donor eggs are your only option. You're going to struggle. It's not going to work. And then that gets stuck in our subconscious, and we believe it, and we take on, that number, the 5% that it won't work. But if it's worked for someone else, it can work for you. And so, having an expert that really specializes in your diagnosis, because there's themes in each diagnosis that we see. And so typically with low AMH and high FSH, we're seeing the food sensitivities, gut infections, chronic stress. We see a lot of type A overachievers. It's all work for them. And then, things in life when they've worked really hard, it's worked for them. And now they're putting in all the effort to make this work, and it's not, and they're feeling super frustrated by it. And so, again, having the tests can then give that targeted plan. Having the coach can then help you make the changes, because the tests are only beginning. So you got to make the changes. And then the deep part is the belief. Do you believe it'll work? Are you glass half full, glass half empty? Even if you are glass half empty, there's still things in your life that you know for sure that are going to work, that'll be fine. You don't question. You don't need to ask 10 of your friends, what do you think I should do? And so as you start to harness that intuitive piece more, then you can see a path forward. So do they specialize in the diagnosis that you're dealing with? So we specialize in low AMH and high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency. So if you've heard my story, I had both my kids with donor eggs, and then years later, I discovered food sensitivities, gut infections, and chronic stress, and really devoting my time to help couples with those diagnoses. In the beginning, I was like, I don't even know if I can help these people. I was, because, a POI or POF diagnosis is devastating. It's like a 5% chance of it even working. And we're helping people, getting pregnant naturally or getting pregnant with their own eggs after they've been told nothing will work, because no one went and looked at the biochemical issues. No one went and looked at the belief piece, the mindset. If you're negatively hypnotizing yourself that it's not going to work. So having someone call you out on that, looking at blood chemistry, looking at your blood sugar. I was had mood swings and sugar cravings, and, just thought it was normal to feel hangry all the time. That was my blood sugar on a roller coaster. And then that impacting my fertility. I had acne. I was on heaps of antibiotics. It was like every infection I had, I'm like, ooh, give me an antibiotic. Which then created all this fungal overgrowth in my body and led to leaky gut, which then predisposed me to more food sensitivities and gut infections. I was on birth control for 10 plus years, which then again predisposed me to gut infections and food sensitivities, and also mineral imbalance. I was eating a nice healthy diet, but I wasn't absorbing anything. And so these are things we see all the time. And so, is your team, the team you're looking at, is it a collaborative approach, or maybe it's just one practitioner that you're working with? And so our Fab Fertile team, we have a nutrition practitioner as well as a fertility coach. And also we have a physician on our team. And so she's triple board certified in obstetrics, gynecology, and functional medicine and menopause. And she's part of our case reviews. So again, it's like all eyes, like very collaborative approach. So it's like, where's the biochemical issues, the environmental toxins, the mental emotional stress, food sensitivities, gut infections, all of those. And then all eyes on it, kind of like what's happening here. We can see people that have gone off track. We kind of pull them back in. And so all of that collaborative approach can really help fast track your success, because sometimes we're out there doing a DIY and we're just confused. We don't know what to do. And then, so the last one we have here is the open door policy, or support in between sessions. So many times when we're working with a fertility expert, maybe it's here we have the session and then we need to wait till the next session to see them. And they don't offer any kind of email support or chat support. They may take a while to get back to you, like over a week to get back to you. Similar to your fertility clinic, do you have and sometimes you may have a coordinator or someone that's going to help you there, but many times people have told me, and I know from first-hand experience, that it's like you're on the phone trying to get a hold of them and you can't get a hold of someone. And so basically what happens in between the sessions is even more powerful than what happens in the actual session. So you're with a practitioner, then you're like, oh my goodness, I got all these questions, or like, is this right for me? Or how do I take these supplements? Or, oh my goodness, my partner and I were talking about something and now we have a question on something. And so does your practitioner, the fertility expert you're looking to work with, are they providing support in between the sessions? Do they answer your questions in a timely manner? Do you feel supported? And so that's a key piece in here, because we can leave the session, we're like, oh, we got a big aha, and we're going to make all these changes. And then, oh man, life takes over and we, get off track. We end up find ourselves at the drive-through. So it's not about, we all slip up, but when you slip up, do you give up? And then do you hide, what happens? Then you don't show up at the next appointment. Or you say, you know what, this happened. I'm just putting it out there and I just wanted, tell me what to do. And so, you've got to be open and honest with your team. Because if you got things going on, we can't help you if we're not mind readers. We can see certain patterns that happen. So we're familiar with that, with focusing with low AMH and high FSH. We see some patterns that can happen. And at the crux of all of this is again, going back to this, but the belief. Because if you don't believe it's going to work, then why are you going to put yourself through, making some of these changes? Again, they're simple, but not easy. Otherwise, we'd all be doing them. So is there support in between sessions? Can someone jump on a call with you if needed and talk you off whatever spiral that you're potentially on? Because you may find yourself up at night, worrying, ruminating or catastrophizing about the future, ruminating about the past. It hasn't worked, whatever. Like, there's a lot of trauma there, right? Or worrying that your fertility is about to jump off or, go off a cliff, and that your eggs are too old, you're too old. Everyone else is moving ahead except for you. And that can get yourself in a very kind of, stuck place and just feeling frustrated. First of all, is to honor the frustration, honor the isolation, honor, the hopelessness, honor wherever you feel. And they're all normal emotions. Of course, anyone going through this would feel this way. And many times we're like, oh my goodness, but a friend of ours is dealing with something. We're like, oh, wow, you really need to do this. Take a bath. I'm here to help you. I'm going to bring over food for you, whatever you need. But then for us, oh no, we're supposed to power through it. We're sucks, or we're a lost cause. And so we would never talk to our best friend or family member the way we talk to ourselves. And so being able to recognize that, and in between sessions, having someone to help you and support you is key. And so just to recap here, so we have, when you're looking for a fertility expert, you want to make sure that they're running up-to-date, cutting-edge tests, that they vetted the labs, that they aren't married to one test, that they are continually looking to improve the test they offer, anywhere from food sensitivity testing to vaginal microbiome testing to genetic testing to stool testing and more, blood chemistry. And also semen analysis. So, is the team you're looking to work with, even though they may focus in female factor fertility, are they looking at your partner? Are they having a semen analysis for him and looking at his blood chemistry? Or is it just all focused on you? It takes two to have a baby. So it's really important to look at the health of both people. Do they offer coaching support? So or is it like, look here, come work with us as a fertility expert. They give you the plan, and then you take the plan, and then you're like, oh my goodness, what is all this? And then you got to implement it by yourself. So is there support? Because the testing and the plan is only the beginning. The implementation is the key part of it. And we can see what's worked for you in the past. As far as, sometimes we can see what's worked there, as far as, maybe when you get a plan that you start really, you're gung ho in the beginning, and then 2 to 3 weeks in, you're like, oh my goodness, this sucks. I don't want to do it. Or maybe you get buried in work, or maybe you feel down and you actually kind of deep down, you don't really believe it's going to work. So you might self-sabotage yourself. Maybe you find yourself, going to the fridge middle of the night down in a tub of ice cream, maybe because your blood sugar has crashed, you've got blood sugar issues. Maybe you just have these patterns that you don't even know you have. or maybe you do know you have, and you think you can't change them. The first way to change them, well, first is to have an open mind that you want to change them, and then to notice them, and then you can start to course correct and make changes to those habits. And you can do an average habit takes 66 days to change. Some of them, some of them that are easier habits are earlier, and some that are harder, longer, but an average habit is 66 days. So as you start to roll along with this, getting those small wins and successes with your partner, that's when you can start to see the change. So do they offer coaching support? Does the fertility expert you're looking to work with, do they customize a program, or is it a one size fits all approach? Is it customized for you? Do they, are they looking at your specific needs, or is it kind of a done for you program? Here's the package and off they go, and not necessarily that individual customized approach. It might have worked for them, and so they're thinking it's going to work for you. The mind, body, spirit piece. Is this a fertility expert you're working with? Are they just maybe focused in on the biochemical functional side of things? Maybe they have mindset, but are they working on trauma? Are they working on the belief? Are they working on helping you tap into your intuition, helping you just see a positive path forward, not in a Pollyanna kind of way, perky Pollyanna kind of way, but seeing a positive path forward? Are you and really guiding you with visualization or affirmations? Maybe those don't even work for you. Maybe you hate that stuff. Maybe it's like journaling, or is it meditating, or is it feeling mindful? Wherever you can access your faith through prayer, or access spirituality, meditation, God, universe, whatever it is for you. Like where can you access that? So you just believe that you see the signs, and they're for you because they are, because you've found this podcast for a reason. I've been doing the podcast for 4.5 years. You are here now. You are listening to this now. You don't need to struggle like I did. I had no clue when I was 28 that there was things that I could do. Now this is many years ago. So 20 years ago, or more, when am I 51? Many years ago. And, there's things you can do. And so I had no clue. I didn't get a second opinion. I had no idea all those health issues were linked to my fertility diagnosis. So that goes into our next one, which is, do they specialize in your diagnosis? POI, DOR, low AMH, high FSH. Do they see these cases day in and day out? Do they know the themes? Do they know what to look for? Do they know the intuitive piece of not believing? Do they see the biochemical issues with blood sugar, with thyroid, with gut infections? Do they see the themes and kind of where people with these diagnoses typically get taken off track? Or is it very cookie cutter approach, and they're dealing with all sorts of other infertility diagnoses? So do they specialize in the diagnosis that you have? Have they seen success? Does the person that you're, the coach you're working with, maybe they, do they have experience with this, with the diagnosis you have? But it's not, it's obviously not all about the diagnosis, because we don't focus on the diagnosis. It's really looking at all the symptoms in the body. But at the end of the day, obviously there's specific diagnoses for fertility and themes that we see. So does the fertility expert that you're looking to work with, do they specialize in yours? And the last one is, do they have an open door policy? So in between sessions, are you able to ask questions? How long does it take for them to get back to you? Where, can you jump on a call if need be? Or are you emailing them back and forth, and the email's buried in a sea of crap, and they never see the email? So do they have a chat feature, or something like an app that's easy? So we have a chat and an app that you can easily reach out to your practitioner, your team. You've got all eyes. You've got a fertility coach, a nutrition practitioner, and we have our nutrition assistant in there as well. So it's like, if you got a question, our goal is to answer it and not leave you hanging. And then if it's your question is complex, and we're like, let's hop on a call. So this part is key. like we talked about, because there can be in between sessions, there can be things that can be missed. Things that can be missed from that, maybe questions that you have for your practitioner that may came up. And also maybe with the plan, you're like, oh, I think this works better, or I want to tweak it here. So then it's a back and forth thing with your practitioner, and how do we adjust it? And so, so as part of our Fab Fertile method, we include functional testing, like we were talking about. So food and stool testing, vaginal microbiome, hormone testing with blood, and more. And also hair testing too. We look at hair testing, which will look for heavy metals and mineral deficiencies. Then like we talked about, we have coaching that will help you and your partner implement these changes. Many other programs are just focusing on the female. We really highly believe this is a two-person game, you and your partner together. Even if he's not dealing with any kind of issues with his semen, we always will look at this, do a semen analysis and a blood chemistry review, making sure he's at his optimal health. Because all of this will fast track your success. So at the end of our program, you'll either be happily pregnant, or if you do need to go to the fertility clinic, you will have improved your chances of pregnancy success, because you would have addressed the underlying healing opportunities. And you'll either get pregnant naturally, or when you do go to the clinic, getting pregnant with your own eggs. And like we talked about, we specialize in tough cases such as low AMH, high FSH, premature ovarian insufficiency or failure, diminished ovarian reserve, people that have been told donor eggs are their only option, people that have had canceled cycles, people that have been told they're a poor responder, people like me that were told that it would never work. And we're helping these people on a regular basis, helping them get pregnant naturally, helping them when they do go to the clinic, getting pregnant with their own eggs. So if it can work for them, it can work for you. So when you're choosing a fertility expert, please keep those 5 things in mind: the testing, the coaching, the mindset, specializing on the diagnosis, and the open door policy or support in between the sessions. If you wanted to jump on a call and we can see if you're a good fit for our program, all you need to do is go to Fab Fertile and click on apply here and pick a time that works for you and your partner. Have a great day.